Good afternoon, everyone, and happy Fresh Friday. I don't know about you all, but the past couple days, the weather has got me so excited. I've pulled out all my sweaters and sweatshirts, I've been looking up soup recipes, and I'm just ready to get into all of the fall deliciousness and everything pumpkin. So today we're going to be making a Southwest veggie soup that's really nice because right now we still have the last tidbits of summer produce. So we're gonna be able to use some fresh tomatoes, fresh zucchini, and fresh peppers in this. But if you end up seeing this video sometime in the fall or winter, it is absolutely okay. You can use any kind of canned items to replace these and it will be very delicious still. But I'm excited because we get to use this fresh element, and we got these fresh vegetables from Fannin's vegetable farm in West Liberty. It was a gorgeous day when we went out there. The skies were blue, the goldenrod was blooming. It was just wonderful. If you want to see some of our pictures from that trip and a little description about it, you can see our post today at 11. But it was wonderful, and if you go out there this weekend, you get to go to the Sorghum Festival as well. So be sure to go, take a little drive, it's wonderful, and let's get into our soup.
We're going to get started by chopping up some vegetables. I have a bell pepper here that I've cut both ends off of. We're going to slice through that and then once again chop through it. We're not too worried about this being exactly the same size, just a rough chop will do. Make sure you remove the green stem, and then we're going to do the same thing to the other end. Once we get those done and in a bowl off to the side, we're going to remove the insides. So just carefully run your knife through. We're trying to remove all of the seeds and the ribs. We're going to once again slice these up just like we did the tops, and then push all of the sticks together, making sure they're pretty even, and then just chop through. This is going to be not quite a dice, it's a rough chop, but like I said, we're not too worried about it being specifically all the same. We're going to do this to have 3 total bell peppers chopped up, so I'm just going to do the 2 others off to the side. I like using multicolors just for extra color in our dish. I'm going to add a jalapeno that I got at Fannin's just for a little bit of heat. So I've cut the end off, I've sliced it in half, and we're just going to scoop out the ribs and the seeds. The seeds will add extra heat if you'd like to keep those in. And then just like the peppers, we're going to slice through, push them all together so that they're even, and then just chop through them. We'll add this in with the rest of our peppers. Up next, we're going to chop up an onion. Now I have a white onion here, and I'm using that because that's what I already had in my pantry. But typically when I've made this in the past, I've used a yellow onion just because I like that flavor. Just use what you have. So I'm just going to cut off both ends, cut this in half, and remove the outer layers. One part of mine was a little bit damaged, so I just removed that layer and we were good to go. I am simply just going to slice through these and then chop through them. If you've ever seen me cut an onion in our other videos, typically I will just do 2 horizontal cuts and then do a number of vertical cuts, and then you have a pretty nice dice that's very even. Like I've said, I'm not too worried about this all being exactly the same, so I'm just going to do this because it's a little bit easier and a little bit faster. I'll chop up any big chunks that escaped me, and then we are on to our zucchini. So I'm just going to chop both ends off. We will slice this in half, and then because I like to have different textures and shapes, I'm just going to cut these into half moons. So don't worry about dicing this up. We will just do this and set it off to the side. This is one of the last things that we're going to add in, so I just like to have all of my chopping done before we start the cooking process. And this wouldn't be a recipe I would make unless it had garlic in it, of course. So we have 4 cloves of garlic here that I'm just going to give a nice tap with my knife. We're going to remove the papery skin, and then we are just going to mince these up. I'm only going to show you 1 garlic clove just because you have seen me do this time and time again, but I'm just going to do the other 3, putting all of my trash in that bowl in the top left just so I don't have to run back and forth to the trash can, and we will set these off to the side. And finally, for our tomatoes, I'm going to cut both the top and the bottom off and cut it in half. We're going to slice our halves and then just chop through them. If you are making this in the winter when you can't find local tomatoes, even though some markets still have local tomatoes, you are just going to use some canned ones. So whether you canned them on your own and just have them waiting for a recipe, or if you go to the grocery store, those will work fine as well. And finally, time to cook this all up. So in a large stock pot, we are going to add a little bit of oil and heat it on about medium-high heat. We're going to add in all of our peppers and onions and just let these sweat until the onions start to get a little translucent. And once it looks like this, we're going to add in our minced garlic and then some chili powder, cayenne powder, dried oregano, a little bit of cumin, and a big pinch of salt. We're going to add in our tomatoes next and some green chilies. These aren't the hot kind, but if you'd like to add a little bit more spice, you can go ahead and do that. We're going to add in our vegetable broth as well. Now, if you are making this not vegetarian, you could do whatever kind of broth that you'd like. Chicken broth would be really great in this, especially if you're adding chicken. But since we're keeping it vegetarian, I just did all vegetable broth. We're going to bring this to a boil, and then we're going to reduce it to a simmer and let it cook for 10 minutes. After those 10 minutes, it is steamy, and we're going to mix it up and add in our black beans and our corn. We're also going to add in those half-moon zucchini and give this a good mix. We're going to cover it once again and let it cook for 15 more minutes on a simmer. And finally, it's time to serve this up and eat it all snuggled in this fall weather. So I'm just going to add this to a bowl, top it with just a little bit of shredded cheese. This is going to be really nice as it melts. Serve it with some tortilla chips, and it is ready to enjoy. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I hope you all give this recipe a try. Be sure to check out Fannin's Vegetable Farm in West Liberty, Kentucky, and we will see you next week. Bye!